Hey guys, thanks again for being here to listen to me talk about eating ice cream for lunch. Um, I think, especially during the summer when it's hot and you don't want to make something, you don't want to turn the stove on, bring back the concept of goûter, of French eating something sweet in the day. And maybe I need to lean into that a little bit more. Let's make it socially acceptable to eat ice cream during the day. Speaking of not wanting to cook things, I have an electric stove. I wanted to mention that. I've never had an electric stove until I moved here to North Carolina 3 or 4 years ago now, and I was so scared that it would suck. But I will say I think the big gas stove industry has all got us sold on a product that doesn't need to exist. I think an electric stove is wonderful and so easy to clean. Um, I avoid visiting my parents because it's mostly listening to my dad complain about having to clean his gas stove top and how dirty it gets. So consider an electric stove, especially if you're someone who likes to cook and you think, I won't be able to cook like I do without gas. You're wrong. Um, what else do I want to talk about? I've been watching Sling TV, maybe one of my new favorite apps because you can watch Antiques Roadshow around the clock. I think they have like four Antiques Roadshow channels alone. You can watch a lot of PBS programming, and one show that I've been watching on there is Jamie Cooks Italy. It's Jamie Oliver. I think his newer, I mean, I guess I've watched his older stuff. His older stuff is a little bit insufferable because he thinks, I mean, it's like him showing, he's young and he's a line cook or whatever, but it's like him going to go play with his band. And it's like a half hour of you watching him like high five people while he plays a set at a DIY space in London. And it makes you kind of want to die a little bit. And his more modern shows lean more into the wholesome factor, and it's a little bit too cloyingly like mainstream. But I will say, despite that aspect of it, I do like Jamie Cooks Italy. He goes and cooks lamb in the mountains with old shepherds and finds people who are making recipes that don't really exist anymore. And I appreciate his documentation of Italian cooking and food ways and disappearing devotions to food. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is that um, when I've been making my tofu cabbage vegetable mix for lunch, which I have not been doing, but I have plenty of tofu and I should get back into it, is when I fry the tofu, what I like to do is once I'm done frying the tofu, pour that hot oil over sliced garlic, let it sit, and then use that garlic oil for the base of your dish. Not a new concept, but I'm going to recommend it. Okay, so it's August 2025. I'm going to read from last week, which is July 20th, 2025, moving forward. And I got to say, it's finally cooled off here. And you can tell that it's cool because the bugs chirp slower and it feels strange and eerie, like we've sort of already transported into fall. Um, anyway, let me get into it. Okay, so July 28th, 2025, Monday, 6:30 a.m. Brooklyn Lab coffee with half and half, and a bowl of bran flakes with milk made at home. 10 a.m. A cup of coffee with hazelnut half and half, and leftover tofu and vegetables over rice at UNC Press. 5 p.m. A small bowl of Blue Bell homemade in the shade ice cream. 6:30 p.m. Burrata over big beef tomatoes with basil, balsamic vinegar, and Sicilian olive oil, romaine lettuce with creamy Caesar dressing, and rotisserie chicken from Food Lion made at home. Okay, so yeah, I'm eating that tofu. I gotta say, bran flakes with milk. I've been eating that. It's really improved my digestion. I was having some digestive issues prior, and once I started incorporating a couple bowls a week of bran flakes, it's really changed my life. Bran flakes are a nostalgic cereal to me. Visiting my grandmother growing up, that's the only cereal that she would have, and that's what we would eat. And I would recommend them. I like to get the really affordable box of organic bran flakes at Whole Foods. I think it's $3 and change, maybe closer to 4. Food Lion also has bran flakes. They're not organic, but they do have added vitamins and minerals like a typical cereal does. Um, so yeah, the, the coffee station at the press was at a regular half and half, so I had to use hazelnut. And stopped at Food Line on my way home, got a burrata for $1. It was on clearance. It was wonderful over some big beef tomatoes that we grew. Sicilian olive oil, it's that Bono brand. I wonder if is it Bono from U2? Did he make this olive oil? I'm not sure. But rotisserie chicken from Food Line was trash. Rotisserie chickens are always a little bit disappointing to me, I think. The breast is always overcooked and dry. Um, but this was a nice summer dinner. And yeah, the big beef tomatoes are good. Our tomatoes did not do well this year, but got a few good ones out of there. Made a lot of sauce. Not a lot of fresh eating ones. We didn't spray the right, I forget what it is. It's like we only spray organic things, but it's some sort of organic thing that you spray and it helps with something or other, and we didn't do it this year, so they just don't have the shelf life and they don't have the eating quality that we have had in previous years. Anyway, July 29th, 2025, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Brooklyn Lab coffee with half and half, made at home. 9:30 a.m. Leftover tofu and vegetables over rice. 12 p.m. A bowl of Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream and a bowl of Utz extra dark sourdough pretzels. 6 p.m. Tomato curry with leftover rotisserie chicken and potatoes made at home. Tomato curry with all the tomatoes that we have and the potatoes. I'm actually making it again tonight. Spoiler alert. And Utz extra dark pretzels. They were on sale at Food Line. I'm gonna highly recommend them. They taste like they've been burnt, and that's what I love about them. And yeah, I'm still working through this bag of Brooklyn Lab coffee. It was roasted in April, so I'm really trying to get through it. I'm almost done actually, but and then I have 2 rapidly expiring 5-pound bags of counterculture coffee that I need to work through. Um, but I'm thankful I bought it before coffee prices continue to climb. July 30th, 2025, it's a Wednesday. 6:30 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half and a bowl of bran flakes with milk. 9:30 a.m. Cup of coffee with half and half and a strawberry green bar at UNC Press. 11 a.m. Leftover tofu and vegetables over rice. 4 p.m. A can of Rodenbach Belgian sour ale and a small slice of La Farm sourdough. 5:30 p.m. Leftover potato curry over toasted jasmine rice and water crackers with fromage dauphinois. 7 p.m. A small bowl of Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. Okay. I'm going to say one thing about this strawberry green bar. I have a giant box of them from Whole Foods in my office. I think that what is so nice about them is that they are one of those 90s snacks that didn't disappear. You can still get a Nutri-Grain bar and it pretty much tastes the same, sort of like a Pop-Tart. And it is basically a Pop-Tart. But it just has that soft, dreamy quality that I sort of remember like being sick as a child and having a fever dream and sort of biting into something imaginary as a roasted, feverish child in my bed. That's sort of the quality that a Nutri-Grain bar has. Um, it's like you're eating something, but it's in a dream. Went to Whole Foods after work this day, got some fresh sourdough. Um, and they had that fromage dauphinois brie on sale, the double cream. You know they do that 50% off. I mean, I can't. How can I not buy that? And I got these. Oh man, what is the brand? It starts with an M. It's like a cracker brand. Anyway, they have these things. The Milo, Milton. I don't remember. But they have good crackers, and they have like an everything um, flavor. I'm calling them water crackers in this food log, but they're more buttery than that. They look like a water cracker, but they have a buttery bite to them. Um, yeah. July 31st, 2025, Thursday. 7:30 a.m. Brooklyn Lab coffee with half and half made at home. 2 sunny eggs and jalapeno truffle hot sauce over Sicilian olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough made at home. 11:30 a.m. Steak house flavored and sour cream and onion flavored Funyuns. 2 p.m. A bowl of Bluebell homemade in the shade and 3 water crackers with leftover fromage dauphinois. 5:30 p.m. Frozen screamin' Sicilian pepperoni breadsticks. Okay, wow. Um, yeah, I used up the last of that jalapeno truffle hot sauce. And Brian brought home 2 bags of Funyuns that were mostly eaten. One of them was steakhouse flavored, and one of them was sour cream and Funyun flavored. They crossed out the onion and wrote Funyun. Um, Steakhouse confused me. I didn't know. I don't like. What does a steakhouse taste like? Does it taste like dark wood paneling, booths attached to a wall with red vinyl seats? I don't know what a steakhouse tastes like. Brian thought it's supposed to taste like A1 sauce. I thought maybe it's supposed to taste like a bloomin' onion and with its seasoning and sauce. I have no idea. They were fine. They were stale by the time I ate them. And the sour cream and Funyun flavored onions, get rid of them. You don't need them. Um, I bought these frozen Screamin' Sicilian pepperoni breadsticks. I've never actually had a frozen Screamin' Sicilian pizza, but these pepperoni breadsticks were on sale. I got them. I put them in the oven. I didn't realize you're supposed to. The directions say remove the plastic. It comes in a plastic paper tray, a paper tray that's lined with like a waxy plastic coating. So I assumed that they wanted me to remove that too, as you do when you cook a frozen pizza. I was wrong. You're supposed to cook them in that tray, and I think it like bubbles it in its own fat. So I made that mistake. I just put the breadsticks straight up on a sheet tray, and it just was a sea of oil. They were so oily. Um, but I didn't really need dinner that night because I was eating double cream and crackers and ice cream for lunch and Funyuns for lunch. Not a great day. I have a note in here. I don't know why to talk about sauce. I just want to make a mention that um, when I am making sauce, we're using mostly our random assorted what do you call them? Tomatoes, but the Italian fluted tomatoes, and those have been really good for sauce. And we grow all our own garlic, so I'm using all our own garlic, all our own oregano, basil, herbs. I have a big herb bed that is overwhelming. It's too much. I can't use all these herbs, and they're sort of dying. Um, and what I like to do with the sauce is, I mean, I would love to get like a proper passata maker and make passata, make it the proper way. But because I end up with so many seeds, and the skin is always a problem. But what I do is I get a big batch of tomatoes, I core them, just take off the stem end where it's sort of where the stem was attached and get rid of that. Another pet peeve I have is the way that people slice tomatoes. You want to slice them from the blossom end first. You don't want to slice them, you don't want to put them stem end down and then slice across. You're going to get the core. You want to put it on its side and slice from the blossom end because that's the best part of it. And then you throw away the stem end because it's mostly core anyway. That's the end and you can get rid of it. Okay, anyway, what I do is I take that stem end and the core out, put them into the pot after I've, sauteed the onions and garlic and fennel seeds and what have you, and meat if I'm adding it. And then I just let the tomatoes sort of dissolve in there, and then the skin comes off in a whole piece and you can just fish it out. And it's super easy to remove the skin that way. I don't love that the seeds are in there, but maybe I will get a passata maker. I'm going to think about it maybe next time for next year. I also will say these eggplant that I have so many eggplants, and from Brian's work, I want to say that get a CSA. If you've never had a CSA, get one, because the produce that you're going to get, it costs a little bit more. You're going to get good produce. You're going to be supporting a farm, but also you're getting produce that lasts, and it's not going to go to waste. It's not going to rot in your fridge because it's coming straight to you. There's no delay in shipping and sitting in the grocery store and being restocked. Like, it's going to last multiple weeks in your fridge, and you're not losing money because it doesn't go bad. What else? Yeah, eggplant. Why do I feel the need to say that? Well, when we worked on the farm, we had two different, farms often have different storage coolers at different temperatures because a lot of summer crops like eggplant, like zucchini, like cucumbers, they want to be at a different temperature. They don't want to be at fridge temperature. They want to be at like 55, 60, somewhere in there. They want to be at a different temperature. So it is hard to keep cucumbers and other summer crops properly stored in your standard fridge. So it is better to use those first if you can, because you're not going to turn up your whole fridge to 60 degrees. I also want to say my fridge is overflowing with red cabbage. I do not like red cabbage. I don't understand it. It's not versatile. It's not good when it's cooked hot, I think. It has sort of it's not as sweet as green cabbage. I don't want it. But I have so much of it because the moths don't lay their eggs on them, because the moths lay their eggs on the green cabbage because their eggs blend in better. They won't lay their eggs on the red cabbage because then their eggs get eaten because they're so visible on the red cabbage. So then we end up with so many red cabbages, but I don't want to have anything to do with them. I don't know what I'm going to do. I like a cold red cabbage mixed in with a green cabbage for a slaw, but what are you supposed to do with red cabbage? I would love to know. Okay. August 1st, 2025. It's a Friday. Leftover coffee with half and half and leftover pepperoni breadsticks. 1 p.m. A handful of pretzels and a bowl of Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. 6 p.m. Eggplant parm with mozzarella and tomato sauce made with cream, basil, and oregano made at home. 7:30 p.m. A small bowl of Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. So I sort of already gave my spiel about the tomato sauce and the eggplant, and you get the gist. Added a little cream to the tomato sauce, make it more like a vodka sauce, but it wasn't quite there. I still have some of the sauce. I'm going to blend it down and use it in this tomato curry tonight. Got some chicken marinating in some yogurt now. And yeah, the eggplant parm. Still using that 4-cup brand Italian breadcrumbs with the pecorino romano and the parsley in it. And not bad. Okay, August 2nd, 2025. It's a Saturday. 9:30 a.m. Brooklyn Love coffee with half and half made at home. 10:30 a.m. Pimento cheese made by Anne with water crackers. 1 p.m. Leftover eggplant parmesan and a handful of pretzels. 4 p.m. Mitica Fontina Val d'Aosta, Emmy Kaltbach, Le Cremot, and Kerrygold's 15-month aged Killary cheddar with water crackers. 6:30 p.m. Chicken and dumplings with chives, boiled peas, and sautéed yellow squash with onion made by Brian. 7:30 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. This was a tough day because you can tell by my eating a handful of pretzels for lunch. I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to go to Mr. Tokyo and get all you can eat sushi or go end up at Cookout. I actually didn't end up eating any fast food this past week, which was a miracle and a shock. My fast food consumption really went up during COVID. Before that, living in cities, you don't need to eat fast food, in my opinion. You can get something handmade in Chinatown or anywhere for a better price and it's better quality. Why would you ever eat a fast food in New York or Chicago? I don't understand that. Once the pandemic hit and it felt weird to go into restaurants, fast food felt like a safer, cheaper option. Although fast food prices have gone up. So yeah, I don't. My fast food consumption has gone up. I mean, I ate it growing up, but really, living in cities, you don't need it. Now it's an affordable option that you can't really find anywhere else. And instead of going out to eat, fast food. Okay, so my former boss and her husband came to visit, and she made pimento cheese, the classic Southern style with the shredded cheddar in there and the pimento. And I broke out those buttery water crackers that I was referring to earlier, and we ate it, and it was wonderful. Um, Walked around and picked some vegetables out in the field. We have green beans coming in and some figs, but they're not quite ready, and okra and what else? Watermelons and tomatoes are pretty much done at this point, but we'll have some purple hull peas coming in soon. Yeah, and then I had a little cheese selection around 4 p.m. Um, so, when you go to Whole Foods and they have like the random ends of cheese that they cut off and they put them in a basket and they're like $1 to $2. I like to grab a couple of those and ended up eating that in the middle of the day. They were okay. I didn't love any of them. Brian made chicken and dumplings, which was fantastic. Got a whole chicken at Food Lion, broke it down and made a quick stock in its own bones. And, we got a field full of vegetables. I have no idea why he decided to grab frozen peas and yellow squash from Food Lion and boil them like a 90-year-old. And, no one wants to eat boiled vegetables. Brian's an excellent cook. I don't know what was going on. But the chicken dumplings were out of this world. He did a flat dumpling as opposed to like a biscuit style. And Brian insisted that chicken and dumplings does not keep well and you have to eat it all at once. So there were no leftovers. I don't know if that's true or not. I did not grow up eating chicken and dumplings. I suppose Brian did. I think his grandmother made it. Okay, August 3rd, 2025. It's a Sunday. 7:30 a.m. Brooklyn Lab coffee with half and half made by Brian. 9:30 a.m. Smashed rosemary potatoes roasted in olive oil and bacon fat. Yellowbird Serrano hot sauce and scrambled eggs with onion, bacon, and chives made at home. 1:30 p.m. Fried jasmine rice with leftover poached chicken, onion, cabbage, and jalapeno made at home, and half a can of Koenig Pilsner. 4 p.m. Bluebell homemade in the shade ice cream. 6 p.m. Beef stroganoff with chives over fusillotti made at home. So, we got all these potatoes you got to use the small ones first. They go bad first. So we got all these like tiny little like new potatoes. You know when you get a new potato and it's super small and round. We got a ton of those, and they're just perfect to use in something without having to cut it. They're lovely. So I did a quick parboil on those, loaded them up, cooked bacon in a cast iron, then put the potatoes in there with some salt and some water and roasted them in the oven until they were nice and soft. And then I smashed them and finished them on the stove top till they roasted and absorbed all that bacon fat and olive oil. And then the bacon was kind of old and wouldn't peel apart in a single strip. So I ended up just chopping it up and mixing it in with scrambled eggs. And I saved like 3 slices and I froze it, and I'm going to use it in something like to save a little bit of bacon to flavor a dish. Um, flavor a future dish. And had some leftover rice, made a quick fried rice for lunch, and with some leftover poached chicken from that chicken and dumplings that Brian saved. Chicken and dumplings don't keep well, but I guess the chicken itself does. And then I bought these tall Koenig Pilsners at Whole Foods. They were on sale. I love a foreign Pilsner. It's very sharp and dry and a little bit bitter. I love it. Not sharp in a tart way, but it's just a demanding Pilsner. And I used half of that in the beef stroganoff, so I gave myself the other half. So beef stroganoff, I use the cereal. Well, whenever I'm cooking something, I mean, I don't use recipes. I've cooked enough that I could make a beef stroganoff right now and um, make it happen. Really, with whatever I have in the fridge, unless I like don't have beef or something. But I like to visit the Wikipedia page for historical context, and then what I like to do is go to Serious Eats and look at what they've done, because I think they do really thorough recipe testing. If you want to look at proportions, look at a foolproof method of making something. Kenji, Serious Eats, they do a really good job. A lot of these cookbooks, they don't actually test out every single recipe because it's too expensive to hire someone to do that. And I find that a lot of even like Martha Stewart recipes, like I don't know, even Bon Appetit recipes, like the they it's not always, even New York Times cooking recipes, they're not thoroughly tested sometimes. I do recommend the Serious Eats if you really want to follow a recipe and have it turn out. Um, so I referenced their recipe, and I didn't have all the ingredients, but let's just look at it real quick. So they want a whole package of gelatin, 2 cups of stock, paprika, beef tenderloin steaks, 12 ounces of mushrooms, peeled pearl onions, salt, shallot, thyme, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, fish sauce, Dijon mustard, white wine, sour cream, dried egg noodles, minced fresh parsley. So I didn't really follow this directly. I did play around. Kenji, for the most part, dumps the soy and the Worcestershire and the Asian like straight in when you're sauteing things, and you sort of let it, you know, scrape the pan down with that. But I actually, so I didn't have. Wait a minute, did this call for yogurt? Um, let's see. Well, my Chrome browser just froze, so that's going to be an issue. But let me just carry on because that's the last day of the week anyway. So there has to be yogurt in this. Is there not? Oh, sour cream. Sorry. So I used yogurt because I didn't have sour cream. So took about a cup of yogurt. I had some heavy cream, mixed that in, and then I added the Worcestershire soy sauce, fish sauce, Dijon, salt and pepper right into the yogurt and let that sit and flavor in the fridge for a few hours. I love to flavor yogurt if it's going to be in a dish ahead of time with, minced garlic or grated garlic or what have you. Um, so let's see. And I had like a really terrible cut of beef shoulder. It was like a beef shoulder steak. I did, olive oil in a cast iron, or no, like a Dutch oven. Seared both sides of the steak, let it rest. I sliced it. It was perfectly pink in the middle, but it's a shoulder, so you really gotta put it back in and cook it longer because it's tough. So that's what I ended up doing. But I had a bunch of mushrooms. I did not have peeled pearl onions, just used regular onion and garlic. Did not add paprika. Um, I did have homemade chicken stock and some gelatin. I just added a little bit of gelatin. I really thickened mine with flour towards the end. I didn't make a roux, but just a little flour at the end. I mean, it cooks out, you don't taste it. And had some thyme. I also put in oregano and marjoram. I have marjoram in my herb bed. And instead of the white wine, I used that other half of the Koenig pills, which sort of made it taste like, when a Swiss or French or like European cheese fondue is a little bit too bitter, they put that sherry or the cherry liqueur in there and it's bitter. That's kind of what it tasted like. Um, and I didn't have egg noodles, but I did use fusillotti. That what's that band? Remo? It's that Italian brand. It was on sale at Whole Foods. Love a big. It's a big fusilli. It's a fusilli. I mean, never bought that before, and I loved it. Perfect for sauce. And yeah, I noticed on the Wikipedia that um, crispy potatoes are a popular side to stroganoff, especially in Russia. So I actually had some leftover smashed potatoes from breakfast. So I packed those in glass Tupperware for lunch and then fusillotti and then spoon the stroganoff over the crispy potatoes and fusillotti for lunch. And that's what I've been eating and then covered them in chives. Um, yeah, didn't have any parsley, but yeah, it was great. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend. Obviously, people in the comments are like, "Why do you put fish sauce and everything?" I don't think you need it, um, but if you're not familiar with Kenji, I'd recommend checking out his videos. He does great, um, quick cooking at home videos with a GoPro, and it's really easy to follow his recipes. And it's also really easy to find a video associated with the recipe, which is nice. So you can actually see someone making it sort of in real time, and it gives you a better sense of how to make something if you're feeling nervous about it. Um, yeah, okay, so that was a pretty normal week. I ate a lot of ice cream. I'm hoping that I make myself sick from how much ice cream that I'm eating and stop eating it. That's, I think, the ultimate goal. I was able last year for like a 6 month stretch to stop eating sugar altogether. And I think I'm getting to a place where I might need to do that again. I realized that I was using sugar, like a sugar reward, as a crutch. I mean, don't we all? Don't we all look forward to something sweet, whether it be actual dessert or beer? I mean, that's sugar or something else. Yeah, I'm definitely using it as an emotional crutch right now. And maybe it's time to delete that. But actually, I have a fresh half-gallon of Bluebell homemade in the shade in my freezer, so I can't do it yet. Um, okay, guys, thanks for listening. I'll be back with an archival episode in a couple days. Bye.